Who were Brax and Ricky? Daryl Brax Braxton first arrived in Summer Bay in 2011 as the leader of the River Boys, a surfer gang from nearby Mangrove River, whose storylines would end up dominating home and away for many years. The River Boys have made numerous returns to Summer Bay in recent times, with a revolving door of leaders, and we've seen both Rory Templeton and Gage Reynolds arrested in the past few years. However, none of them hold a candle to the gang's former leader, Brax. It was 2 years into the Braxtons' domination of the series when Ricky Sharp arrived, the younger sister of Adam, an old friend and mentor of Brax's. While Ricky originally arrived to help Adam get revenge on Brax and Heath for leaving her brother to die, she eventually softened towards Brax. They soon professed their love for one another, but when Ricky left town, she returned to an ultimatum from Brax: either she be with him or leave forever. She chose to be with Brax and moved in with him soon after, despite having some concerns about his history. However, it was Josh Barrett's arrival, and Brax's doting over the newcomer, which raised alarm bells for her. She was horrified to learn that Brax had accidentally killed Josh's father Johnny after he had hit Casey, and Adam covered it up. She begged him not to turn himself in, but ultimately, struggling with the guilt, Brax went to the police and was charged. Brax asked Ricky to look after Josh as he was sentenced to up to 15 years. She was his first visitor, but upon her return home, she collapsed and learned she was pregnant. She forbade Nate and Kyle from saying anything, and was later devastated when Brax broke up with her moments before she was going to reveal her pregnancy. A short time later, she was involved in a bombing and lost the baby. In the aftermath, she and Nate grew closer, eventually sharing a kiss, but he pushed her away, reminding her she had chosen Brax. She was dealt another blow when she learned Brax had been transferred and no one knew where. As a result, she and Nate grew closer and eventually slept together. Casey organized to meet with Adam to get his version of what happened the night Johnny died and asked Ricky to accompany him. Reluctantly, she agreed, and they learned that Johnny was still alive when Adam arrived to bury the body, and it was in fact Adam who had killed him. Sometime later, Nate organized for Ricky to do a photography assignment in London, just as Brax was released from prison. Realizing the angst between the two men, she broke it off with Nate and told them she was going to London and may not return. When Bianca decided to join Ricky, the Braxton brothers headed to the UK, planning to find the women and bring them back to Australia. Whilst in London, Brax was hit by a car whilst chasing Ricky down, and, after ignoring doctor's orders not to fly, he followed her back to Australia and soon found himself in hospital with a blood clot. As the pair looked after Heath's infant son Harley, Ricky confided in Brax regarding her miscarriage. Nate continued his pursuit of Ricky, but she chose Brax. The pair soon began trying for another child and eventually fell pregnant, with Ricky learning the news on the same day Casey was shot by Jake Perovic. Their relationship was further tested when Brax's mate Ash arrived from prison and they flew to the outback to track down Ash's missing sister Billy. Ultimately, Brax was charged with killing Billy's ex, Dean. Brax decided to accept a plea, but withdrew at the last minute, and was eventually sentenced to 20 years in prison. Whilst in prison, Brax was sent to solitary confinement. While back in the Bay, Ricky gave birth to a son. Brax was released back into general population in time to meet his son and agree to name him Casey. It soon emerged that Brax had orchestrated a plan to break out of prison, and Ricky agreed to go on the run with him. Yet tragedy struck when Brax's escort vehicle was run off the road, and Ricky learned that he was missing, likely dead. However, unbeknownst to Ricky, Ash was aware that Brax had survived and helped him go on the run. Ricky struggled in the wake of Brax's death, but eventually moved on with Nate. The pair eventually got engaged, but the moment was ruined when Ash revealed that Brax was still alive. Desperate for answers, Ricky agreed to help find Brax, and he returned, asking her to go on the run with him once more. With Casey ill, Ricky refused, but allowed him to see their child one final time. Nate and Ricky eventually wed and lived briefly in marital bliss until Brax returned once again. Following confirmation that he had been exonerated of Dean's murder and was a free man, Nate summoned Brax back to the Bay, knowing that he was always Ricky's true love. Deciding to be closer to Heath, Bianca, and Kyle, Brax and Ricky bid farewell to Ash, Nate and Phoebe and embarked on a new journey. Since leaving home and away in 2015, and making a brief 2-episode return in 2016, Stephen Peacock has gone on to star in a number of successful dramas, both in Australia and the US, including 5 Bedrooms and Wanted. He currently stars as Pete Emerson in RFDS, Royal Flying Doctor Service, and Rob Rickards in The Newsreader. Stephen Peacock as Pete Emerson in RFDS, Royal Flying Doctor Service. Since leaving home and away, Bonnie Swain has gone on to star in Rosehaven, The Secret Daughter, and Escape and Evasion. Her short film Finding Addison won Best Short Film at the 2023 Octa Awards, while her role in South by Southwest Sydney winner Thou Shalt Not Steal cemented her status as one of Australia's most versatile talents. Now, the pair are both set for a return to home and away.